Welcome to Spider-Verse Minute, the tri-weekly podcast where we watch Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse 1 minute at a time. I'm Caroline Slater.
And I'm her brother Sean.
And I'm their brother Thomas from another dimension.
Oh! Who knew?
And which dimension are you from? And what did you title this minute, Caroline?
I uncreatively titled it Gwen Stacy Intro.
Yeah, we get her flashback, and the first thing I want to touch on is her cover.
I love her cover.
Yeah, so this one isn't one of her, like with some of the previous covers we've seen, they were modified covers of real comics. And with this one, as far as I'm aware and remember, this isn't a modified cover. It's just a cover with a lot of Easter eggs. Like 4. I noticed with the interior pages is they repeat them a lot. It looks like they repeat the pages like 3 or 4 times.
I think it's just an animation trick. Because it's like, well, no one's really going to be like able to see them that well. Yeah.
They put some work into it though, because like the bubble on this one that I was trying to catch says, it says, yo, did you really wear pleated khaki slacks to a rock show?
Yeah. And that was the one thing I didn't get a chance to do is I tried to like just Google around and see if I could find which issue it was pulling it from, because in the previous ones they did pull from real issues, and I like vaguely remember this stuff happening because they also have the Bodega Bandit, which I think is one of my favorite villains. In here they also show him a bit. And I was going to be like, okay, I got to just go check my comics and like quickly page through them. And I forgot to do that. But
good job.
Yeah, I think it's from, if I remember correctly, I think it's around the time she starts working for her. Spoiler alert! In the from like 3-year-old comics, it's around the time she starts working for the kingpin of her universe, which is Matt Murdock, and like she does some kind of bad things ish for him, but at one point they go to a rock concert.
I just gotta say, when you said Matt Murdock, I thought Matt Mercer, the voice actor.
Oh.
And I'm like, why is he in the comics? I'm like, no.
Different Matt.
So what were the Easter eggs on the front cover?
Yeah, so the issue number is issue 65, and she's from Earth 65.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I also kind of chuckled because she's not up to issue 65 yet. So she's got 10 more months until she gets up to that number.
See that when issue 65 comes out, this is the cover they use?
Yeah. And then the buy is Lator, Rodriguez, and Renzin, I believe is how you pronounce their names. Renzi. But that's her original creative team. Jason Lator and Robbie Rodriguez are generally considered the creators of her, right. With Jason being the writer and Robbie being the artist. And then Rico Renzi was the colorist for her stuff. And you can thank Rico for the like very vibrant colors that her universe is in.
Right.
It's it's some of my favorite just like art style for a book is it's very just like neon and blah, like it's in a good way.
Very cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting that on this cover they show 2 different styles of her shoes, because she has the other dance shoes on in the background, the ones without the ribbons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think those are the ones that are more modeled after the Chucks.
Right.
They kind of like use that as an in-between stage, if I remember correctly.
She started with the Chucks, realized she couldn't bend her foot very well, and switched to ballet.
Although now, I guess I was gonna say now, like technically her suit's just not in the movie, but in the comics, her suit's just made of spiders, and so I wonder if she like makes her shoes as well, or that would be. Well, I don't want to think about that. Actually, I take
I
that
think
back.
you just opened a can of worms you don't want to go into, Sean.
Spiders crawling between your toes.
And then the last thing, Easter egg, is the team up with the Ultimate Spider-Man, because Miles is from the Ultimate Universe, and I think when they kind of did the Easter egg earlier in the movie when they showed the different universes that like they connected to, and this one was labeled 1610, which is the designation for the Ultimate Universe. Because I remember having a gripe about that. Like, they couldn't change the number. It doesn't match exactly.
I do remember you talking about that, yeah. And
then I also kind of have, like, I'm glad they went with 65 because it aligns towards, like, they pulled Gwen from that, but there is some issue, like, it doesn't exactly line up with Earth 65 in the comics. But, again, that's just very small gripes. Like, doesn't really matter. It's just, nice little Easter eggs.
Yep.
Fun things. I love how her flashback begins with, besides the same line that everyone keeps using, which is, all right, let's do this one more time.
Yeah. And also running along the same pipes.
Yeah.
Pretty quickly.
I brought that up later, but I like how she like starts like pushing the camera like it's a music video.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I love that.
She's like... It's like a extreme sports live stream or something. She's like, okay.
It's like, we're gonna vlog this, guys. Let's do this.
Yeah.
One thing I noticed was when they show the bite is that her spider is yellow.
Yeah.
I've never noticed that it was yellow before. Like, I'm like, oh, that's so cool.
Which is interesting because she doesn't use any yellow in her costume.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder if this spider's made up of even smaller spiders. And that's where she gets that power from.
You've seen that video, right, where the spider's like in the windowsill and somebody like squirts it with stuff, and then all the little baby spiders come
yes,
off the
I
back
have
of it?
seen that. I hate that video.
I think I've seen it completely once, and then every time I like open it up again by accident, immediately see it and just close. Like, nope, let's not do that. Don't need to see that.
I hate
need to be able to sleep
that.
tonight. And then after the spider, everybody seems to be running down this same pipe tunnel. Is this supposed to be the collider? Actually, now that I think about it,
I don't think so.
I think with Peter's, it was the collider. Or at least around the collider. I don't think it is with anybody else, though.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, I do love that parallel of that running sequence, though.
Yeah.
I like how her web is faster than a bullet for some reason.
So, how fast are her webs?
They shouldn't be faster than a bullet, I can say that.
Yeah. If it was faster than a bullet, it definitely would have grabbed her dad that way, and he would have had 2 holes in him.
Like, right?
Yeah, and like she pulls him kind of to the side-ish. Like, yeah, it's a very the physics behind that scene are a little
Comic booky?
Yeah, comic book.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wonder why.
Jeez, it's a mystery.
And then in the next area, I like how in the whole movie they play with size a lot.
Yeah.
Because like the lizard was never a huge monster, just like Goblin was. I don't know. I'm not well versed enough to know of the large goblin that they're dealing with in the movie, but they play with that a lot in this, like the different sizes.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, like in the 1610 universe, Goblin actually is this like giant monstrosity.
Okay.
Yeah, like I think they did that even with the latest PS4 game too. Like Goblin is bigger.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember how much in the comics of the like flashback they show of like what size Peter is, but I seem to remember him being like bigger as well. But like it's such a great just like small little. They like brush over it where she's like, "Oh, I wasn't able to save him," and kind of does that whole like.
I love the silhouette transformation of him being from lizard to Peter. And I never noticed this before, but when he like when she rushes to his body, like he still has scales on his body.
Yeah.
Oh, that's sad. That's cool, but that's sad.
It's also like every time she brings it up, I always get a little sad.
Well, yeah.
Especially because like in the comics, she was framed for that, and pretty much the first. What did I say? She was up 235. The first like I don't know, 40 issues of her was like trying to get away from that. Just being like, no guys, I promise I didn't kill him, but like couldn't really say it.
Yeah. I also feel the need to point out the Peter and Gwen's universe is brunette.
Oh yeah.
Yes, not a blonde.
Really feel the need to point that out.
Yeah.
And then, interestingly enough about her universe, the next thing that we see is that Doc Ock is very similar to the Sam Raimi's Doc Ock.
Yeah, I noticed that. Like, and I was even going to point out, because we've talked in the minutes before this about how Liv uses like these sort of the organic-y weird arms that creep me out, and then here these are metal arms.
It's weird because it's like an inverse with Sam Raimi, since Spider-Man uses the organic webs in Sam Raimi's, and they have mechanical arms, and this is like the opposite. They use mechanical webs and the organic spider web or arms. And
this was the other thing that I was alluding to when I said her universe didn't exactly match up with the comics, is in hers, Dr. Octopus just has a pet octopus. Doesn't actually have superpowers.
What a interesting decision there, sir.
Yeah. And I think he works for like the villain organization he works for is Silk.
I'm just picturing this mafia-style boss petting an octopus now.
No, he's an underling. He's not the boss.
Oh, that's upsetting.
Yeah, I really like the alternate stuff they did with her universe. And just like all the changes they made with hers, the small things like Captain America's a black woman in hers, all sorts of fun little stuff like that where you're like not really sure what to expect, but like kind of know. If you're talking about this character, you get a general idea of who they are. Mm-hmm. And she gets, no friends.
Yeah, which I love the way that she kind of like covers up in a way and says like, it's, to avoid distractions. And it's like, girl, you have trauma.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what that is.
She's like so insulating herself from the world.
Yeah.
I can't tell if she's in denial or just lying to cover up for like Miles. And I'm like,
I think it's a mix of her distractions is, I also think it's just like, oh, she had a friend and he got killed and she doesn't want to have that happen again. Mm-hmm. And so is always like pretty hesitant about that seems like a very common trope in superheroes. Is they're always hesitant to have friends because they don't want things to happen to them, and they're like, oh no, this is my path to follow by myself. And it's always like, bro, you got plenty of friends.
Like, yo, like that's the thing. It's like that's the funniest part. It's like, I don't have any friends. It's like, you have a lot of friends. What do you mean? Batman's kind of the exception.
He's like almost the genre definer of it, of just like no friends, and keeps bringing in more and more people.
Is he bringing it in, or are they just showing up?
A mix of both. He keeps bringing in Robins.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's time to make a Robin.
You got me there. You have a good point there. He does keep bringing in Robins.
I say that. I think with the current Robin, this is probably the second longest he's had a Robin of the 5, 6.
He's going to break a new record. Okay.
Back to the minute.
So when it sends her through, I like how a lot of the stuff she does seems so less accidental than everybody else.
Yeah.
Like everybody else falls into the world. She like when she gets there, she doesn't fall down or anything like that. She's graceful even in this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as she's like shooting through the little ball thing, she twirls around a bit and then gets into a rocket pose.
Yeah.
And grabs onto the light pole super smoothly and does her loop-de-loops.
There's one frame before she gets to the light pole where her body is stretched like from almost the light pole all the way off screen.
Yeah, I love like they do such a great job of like the way they play with the actors and or the characters like dimensions.
Right.
And just they do that. And also like when she's looping around at one point, she's got two sets of legs, as they use that for the animation stuff. One thing I noticed too is they say a whole week passes and they do this cool like reverse time lapse, but it only shows like a day-night cycle of 2 days, and like a third day happens as she lands.
Now, in her defense, that's while she's spinning.
Yeah.
So she spun for like 3 days.
She must have gotten very, very dizzy. And hungry.
She used those dance moves and did spotting. That's why she's not as dizzy.
Right.
Yeah.
She just kept flipping her head around.
There's this great poster that's up. I don't know if you guys stopped and looked at the posters, but there's one that's called From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yes, we talked about those in quite a few minutes ago when we first saw Times Square in Peter's flashback. We talked about those of them. Yeah. Yeah,
looking at it, I think there's 2 new ads that we see in here. The one is there's an ad for Noise Boys.
I saw that one. We did see that one.
Did we see that one before?
Yes, because that is the Jersey Boys parody.
Okay, that's right.
We didn't see the name of it, but I could tell by the way it's posed. I'm like, oh, that's Jersey Boys.
Yeah. Then the other one is it's right below the Sony logo, which I love that Sony's still Sony. Like it's like, no, we're not changing anything. We're Sony.
We're Sony.
But right below the Sony logo is a music album called Kissland by Abel Tesfaye, and it's a parody of Kissland, but as 2 separate words and all spelled out completely by The Weeknd, which is Abel Tesfaye's stage name.
Interesting.
And the cover looks like a parody of his other album, Starboy. It's a similar red and yellow with like the sort of grayscale person sitting on the cover.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, and so like it was kind of neat how they did like sort of 3 levels of jokes in that one thing where they're like, okay, we're gonna take your other album, use your real name, and then just like parody one of your album song titles.
It was like Starboy 2 just kind of makes me chuckle in general, because I remember the first few times I heard that song, and I still kind of hear it when I listen to it. I always thought he was saying Starbucks. So I'm like, what? I still hear it every now and again. I'm like, now I know what he's singing. And it makes a lot more sense.
I had heard it a bit before, and then as I was taking notes for this, I was like, let's put this on again to see what it like. I hadn't realized I had heard it before, and I was like, oh, it's like featuring Daft Punk or something along with Daft Punk. I'm like, I like them. Let's listen to this. And it was like, oh, I've heard this song before. I know exactly what they're talking about. And the other new ad was One Small Step. And I think it's the Tony-winning new musical, but I can't tell what it looks too long to say Tony, but it's a musical about the moon landing.
I like the Seth Rogen on a horse.
That one still makes me laugh for like no reason except that it's Seth Rogen on a horse.
As she's flying in, when she's still covered in the blue stuff,
yeah,
she does the same arm snap that Miles is going to do in that fall as well.
Yeah,
where she throws her arms back and like powers into it.
Yeah,
it's like the same move that Miles does.
And that, I guess, it foreshadows when her and Peter are standing next to each other, and they say something along like at the very end in the final battle, they're like,
"Oh, did you teach
we did a
that?
good job?" Yeah, and they're like, "We did a good job." Like they kind of congratulate each other, and like at first I was like, "What did she really do?" But then as we're going through this, I'm like, "Oh, he got that from her, and he got that from her, and he got that from her." She almost has a perfect landing too, but like she does a tuck and roll, and then just doesn't quite make it up to standing position.
Yeah, before. She's just kind of sitting there.
Yeah, but you know, she was just spinning for multiple days, so she's allowed to be a little bit dizzy.
I like the texture that they put into her pants, into the bottom part of her outfit.
Yeah.
There's like a scale-like texture to it.
It looks very armor-like to me.
Yeah, I was going to say that, or like wet too.
Oh.
Maybe coming through the dimensional portal and a little time travel causes you to get a little wet.
Maybe. There is a portion when she's in that little like thing that she does like a dolphin kick
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
to like straighten herself out.
And rearrange it. Currently in the comics, she's traveling between dimensions to go to college. One of the things that Peter's like, oh yeah, make sure you eat like, drink lots of water and like eat crackers and stuff because it really dehydrates you and you need to keep that water keep your water levels up. That's probably why you're hungry, because you're also not eating enough for your spiders. Because her suit and clothing is all made out of spiders. Like she hosts the symbiote as well, like the Venom symbiote, and she like came to terms with it, and like she's just like bros with it now.
Chill.
So yeah, she's probably just all sorts of like hungry and disoriented and wet.
Wet. The last thing I have for this minute is we see the blackout like rush through the city. It makes me think like this is the earthquake that was referenced earlier in the movie when Miles is talking to his Brooklyn Middle friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely what he's referencing. Like, she somehow pulled it a week behind or something like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's basically when she showed up, because she says, I've been here for a week, and she has to go to the school and stuff like that still.
Which, like, she did a lot to get into that school within a week.
Right?
Or she just showed up. Like, I have a theory that she just, like, showed up.
Like, she sits down in class.
Yeah.
She at least got that uniform fast.
Yeah. We can talk about that when we see her next minute.
Okay.
Do you have anything else for this minute?
I do not.
Me either.
I will jump in and talk about the woman of the hour, Gwen Stacy, her voice actress. And she's voiced by Haley Steinfeld, who started her career in 2008ish when she was 10 years old. She debuted in a short film titled Heather, a Fairy Tale. And then she had her breakthrough role in True Grit when she was 13.
That's
in
right.
2010.
She was in the True Grit remake. I forgot about that.
And she won she won 14 awards for her, like for being, best supporting actress for that, and then nominated for another 11, so a total of 25.
Holy cow.
Jeez.
It makes me want to go back and watch that movie now.
I've heard really good things about that remake. I've heard good things about both versions, but I've heard the remake is really good.
I really like her as an actress in the things I've seen her in.
I know her from Pitch Perfect.
That's what I actually Ender's Game. I remember her in Ender's Game as well, but
I didn't realize that was her. Like, I watched Ender's Game and I enjoyed it. I thought it was an adequate book adaptation.
Right. It would have had to have been 6 movies or something like that to get it right.
And it's because like that whole Ender's Game and Ender's Shadow is probably my favorite book series of all time. And so, like, there was no way they were going to be able to make, like, an adaptation that I was 100% satisfied with.
Right.
But she plays Petra Arkkonen in Ender's Game. And I, like, watched that so long ago, forgot who she was, probably looked her up a couple times before that, be like, oh, yeah, I like her. And then I was going back and through, I'm like, I don't remember her in that. And then I looked through it, like, oh, yeah, I totally remember her in that now. And I remember really liking her because, like, Bean's probably my favorite character from that series, but then Petra's definitely my second favorite.
Right.
I just enjoy a lot of the stuff they do with her. And yeah, Pitch Perfect 2. I'm pretty sure I've seen 2. I don't think I've seen Pitch Perfect 3.
I have not seen Pitch Perfect 3.
I have.
Oh, that was a defeated I have.
I feel like that's not a I've seen it once. That's I've seen it on repeat multiple times kind of I have.
I like acapella, what can I say?
Yeah.
And then right before Spider-Verse, she did the best Transformers movie.
Yes.
She was in a Transformers movie? I have not seen any of the Transformers movies.
She's in the only good one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I was on the fence about watching it. And then when I saw that it was her, I was like, okay, I'll give this one a shot. And then immediately was like, oh yeah, I really liked her in that.
She's currently playing Emily Dickinson in an Amazon show, which I kind of want to, like... Or no, it's an Apple TV show.
The other big role she had was in Edge of 17 from 2016. I'm not familiar with it. I don't really know anything about it, but she was nominated and won some awards for that one as well. And because of her role in Pitch Perfect 2, she was able to spin that into a music career, where she does some pop, dance pop, and art/R&B. And she's released 1 EP and 15 singles, 8 of which she was the lead in 7.
Dang.
Nice.
Yeah.
I've heard some of her music. It's not, like, totally my style, but it's good. It's good music. It's just not my style.
Yeah.
I have not heard it other than the Pitch Perfect stuff.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I listened to her on the when it was like she was on Pitch Perfect 2. I pulled up the song that she was in. I was like, okay, I don't remember this, but sure.
Sounds good.
She does a good job. Yeah.
Sounds legit. She is quite the chameleon in a way. Like, she does a really good job at, like, finding some diverse things. And she knows how to blend into them. Every time I watch this movie, I don't hear Haley. I don't hear her.
Right.
And even, like, watching her in live action stuff, like, I look at her and, like, in stills, I'm like, oh yeah, I recognize her.
Yeah.
But then when she's doing the acting, I don't. I'm like, okay, that's somebody else now.
Mm-hmm. And they never really, like, do much, like, to change her face at all either.
Yeah.
Like, it's still her face, but she's just that good. Like, she really does slip into characters very well.
Yeah.
I like her.
Yep. 2 thumbs up from this podcast.
Do we all give her 2 thumbs up?
We do.
6 thumbs up from this podcast.
Was there anything else you guys wanted to touch on?
Not for this minute.
Nope.
Well, then, thank you for joining us. Tune in on Friday, where you can hear about the rest of her flashback and some Kingpin stuff. Where can people find you?
So my current project is Crit Stormcast. It's a podcast where we play D&D, and it's been very exciting, very fun. We're about 22 episodes in right now, and we just added another cast member, so that's pretty exciting. If you like D&D and you like good storytelling, good collaborative storytelling, check it out. Crit Stormcast on Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff, and then you can find us on iTunes and everywhere else you get podcasts.
Yeah, and we'll have all that stuff in the show notes as well.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.